I'm Corey.
I'm Chris.
And we are Blood Brothers Racing. And in this video, not going to be the most exciting video.
Probably not.
But we're going to give you our strategy in index racing with adjusting our index by weight. We're going to show you how we're going to mount some weight, what kind of weight we're going to mount. We're scaling the car to show you where we're going to put the weight and why. And it's just basically going to give you, the viewer, a look into our dumbass brains. Yeah. Basically all it really turns into be. So if you enjoy that type of content, this video is for you, and we're excited to show you.
And you don't even have to eat a box of Twinkies to get there.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they're a huge company. They don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. They may even be bought by Holly at this point.
Yeah. Probably our Holly's buying everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can't piss Holly off because they own everything.
Yes. Holly, we love you. We want a sponsorship. So, today we're going to be talking about adding weight. And so just as an example, my issue is when I ran in Bowling Green, I was running almost 2/10 too fast.
Yes.
And so the general rule is 100 pounds equals a tenth. And so a lot of guys...
Let's step back for 1 second. Let's just talk about what index racing is. Maybe people that are bracket racers bracket racers probably understand.
This is true because this isn't really bracket racing, so you have to be...
There's different styles of racing. One of them is index racing, which you go out there and you haul ass, and then you figure out your numbers, and then you dial that for the temperature or track conditions or whatever. You adjust that throughout the day in order to run whatever number you're going to write on the side of the door. That's index racing. And the reason that you want any type of parity racing like index or bracket is because if it was all heads up racing, we wouldn't be able to afford it. Most guys couldn't afford. It's really about who has the biggest pockets at that point. Mm-hmm. So that one form of racing, and the most prevalent, is index racing.
Yes. So bracket racing is dialing your own number. Index racing is your ass stuck at a number, a designated number. And so in our classes, it's 11, 1050, 10, 959, and 850 and 8.
Yep. And then you also have faster, the 7.0s and 750s.
Yes, exactly. So we have to get onto that number, as close to that number without going any faster. And so there's different ways to get to that point. But one, we can adjust your timing, just how much horsepower you have, your shift points. But it gets to a point where a lot of racers is actually using weight to fine tune their times.
Yep.
And going back, so every 100 pounds is a tenth. If I've got to take off 0.2 of a second, then that means I need to add 200 pounds to my car. And so it's going to change depending on the weather and how your car setup is. For us, with the blower system, or at least with me, with the blower system, the density altitude makes a big difference in how fast your car is going to go. And so we can use that adding and taking away weight throughout your runs to try to get nailed down. So the problem now is that there's no clear definition in the rule book exactly what can and cannot happen in your car as far as weight's concerned.
So the rules are pretty vague about how they want you to, where it's at, how much you can put in, but as long as it's securely fastened, and they do specify how many bolts you have to have per 100 pounds and what size bolts, as long as you do that, I don't think there really can be much argument in how much weight you put in the car, because you just add it somewhere else. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, the reason that they do that. I think they just don't want you concentrated weight in one area, a ton of, 500 pounds.
And it's probably a safety thing too, because they don't want weight flying around if you were to hit the wall or something like that too.
Absolutely.
So you need to make sure it is contained if you have it in the cockpit, I guess. But I remember reading one guy even said, they say it's got to be unremovable weight and stuff like that. But there's no difference in adding a battery, kind of like you were saying. You can add a battery to your car and add 40 pounds, and it's technically, it's supposed to be bracketed in, but it could be jarred loose just as well as any weight could be jarred loose.
It's really hard to understand. Sometimes the rules are vague enough where you can make some arguments about where or what or how. And really it's going to be dictated by what that inspector interprets the rules as and how much of an argument you can make with it.
So a lot of people are, they have different ideas on how to do this weight. So there's a company that makes these metal sleeves that you put lead shots in. You can add, weight, and it's mounted into the car. Other people just add spare parts that they have laying around in their batteries, tires, whatever. I went down to a local store and bought these weights. I've got a large 25-pound one, and I got these 10-pound ones here. And obviously they have the hole in them that we can figure out a mounting bracket so we can put a shaft through there and screw it down. And the thing is with 200 pounds that I've got to add, that's 8 of these big plates. So that's a lot of weight to be adding.
All right, so we have decided, well, my thought process into how to manage this weight and speed that he's gonna run is if you're gonna run, because we vary on DA and tracks, because we race a good region.
And 5 different states.
5 different states, and some of them are on rivers where it's low. Some of them are up in altitude, and you know, you have all that going on. So we have to adjust for anywhere between 800 feet of density altitude all the way up to 4,500 would be the absolute max. I think most of the races we go to are going to be between 2,000 and 3,500-ish. So our plan is to make his car run a 990 in 3,500 DA.
Yeah.
So then we can add weight.
So that means basically we need to add about 100 pounds,
yeah,
which is what we have. And well, we have more than that, but then with the 10 pounds ones, we can kind of fine tune. The other thing is we don't know really how consistent the car is yet.
No.
Yeah, and so, you know, it may, when you're getting it into 10 and 5 pound pieces, you're talking really fine tuning. That means you need to really have a really consistent car. So that's another thing and another issue we got. As we get data, as the year goes on, in the next couple of years, actually, you know, we can see exactly what it's doing. But the biggest thing now is where do we mount it? How do we mount it that it's safe?
Yep. So when you build a car, and we're not going to get into it in this video, but when you build a car, you build the chassis for the science, and then you somehow mold a body around it. That's not how this car was built.
No.
It was basically just pretty much homegrown, home built deal. We did make some upgrades just for safety concern, but it's essentially how we bought it. I mean, other than the blower and the horsepower.
Yes. And so it's got the stock front suspension, all that stuff. And if you've seen us at the racetrack, you could look and see it's that engine's squeezed in there because it's pretty tight. So it does not have a race chassis in it.
So we are limited to where we could put weight to kind of how the car was built. What you want in the best case scenario is you want a car on race weight to be 50 on the front, 50% on the front, 50% on the rear, and whatever weight you need to run your number. That's the best case scenario, right? So you need to make the adjustments to the chassis, which in a future video we will make. If you guys want to see that, make sure you comment down below about how you can adjust how much weight is on one tire or the other. But currently this car, and we will look over the scales, currently this car is like 53%. We'll get into the actual specifics. 53% on the front, but it's very even side to side, which is great until his fat ass gets in there. Yeah. And then it throws it off by what, 200?
115 pounds.
150.
About 200 pounds, so that's where we're at.
Yeah. You 200? Shit, I'm like 225, 230.
Well, I was being conservative.
All right.
You don't ever ask a man how much he weighs.
All right, so we'll look at the scales, and then we will get them in there, and then look at the scales, and then we will start adding weight to where we want it, and we'll look at the scales. One pro tip for you guys, when you're scaling a car, you want to make sure you're on level ground. And if you have some shocks that have a lot of valving, to make it slow or whatever, you want to make sure all the valving's at as soft as possible so the suspension settles. But personally, I would let it sit overnight before you do any scaling to make sure everything's out. One thing too is if you lift the car up and put them on the scales, you're gonna have the suspension is still tucked in. So you need to be able to bounce it enough to push the front end out. The rear doesn't matter, but you gotta make sure that the front end is settled where it's supposed to be. And I personally would recommend you at least give it 4 or 5 hours for even the cheap shocks in order for everything to get settled to get a real precise number.
Yeah.
So we will start looking at some scales, I guess.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
All right.
I just changed it 24 pounds.
Yeah, that's the suspension settle, and that's kind of what we were talking about.
Yeah. So shall I put it down?
It'll settle on its own. All right, what we have here is a computer scale, and this is without the driver. It's just sitting there, and it sat overnight. Actually, it's probably sat here 2 weeks now, but it's been sitting for quite a while. As you can see, the front is 777 pounds on this front driver's side, and this scale you can actually look at percentages. So our rear percentage is 46%. The front is 53%, and then you can actually just do corner weights too. So it's 25% corner weight, 27% corner weight, 23, 23. So as you can see, it's scaled pretty decent. We could work on scaling the driver's side front to try to get that tuned a little better. We would have to adjust the rear to try to get that done. But we could put a little bit more pressure on the right rear, or the driver's side rear, and that would take some weight off the driver's side front. But we are not going to get that in depth with it until we get the weight in there. So let's get the weight, the first weight, which is Chris himself, and then we'll look at the scales again. All right, so Chris is now in the car, and one thing that you need to do is you need to have all your gear with you. Preferably it would be just on, but we're not gonna go that far with it. We're just gonna put it on his lap. That's his full gear, helmet and all. All right, looking at the scales again, we're at 3,040 pounds-ish, and it looks like most of that weight went to the front. Well, 50 pounds of it went to the front driver's side. But the right rear, the driver's side rear, is off quite a bit. But this weight right here with the little under 700 horsepower is making him run like 980s. And what DA weather?
9.8 was 1600.
1600. So that weight will get him a 980 and 1600 DA. I'm assuming that would probably end up putting him at a 990-ish, maybe a little bit 995 and 3000 DA. So we're gonna shoot for 100 pounds, but make provisions to put a full 200. So we're gonna look at where to put weight. If you looked at the scales, the weight needs to go on the driver's side, or the passenger side, and we need to put the weight as far forward as or far backwards as possible to try to even out the weights on the scale. So we're gonna start adding some weight to those bells. We're just gonna set them down on there and then see what it does to the scaling. The weight is 3,056, and it's biased to the driver's side.
Well, shit, your clip just broke.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did it pop off a little?
No, it actually, the end of it broke off.
What?
I know.
What?
I clipped it right on here and then it snapped. So.
Damn it. That was my good clip.
Well, we'll get you another clip. They sell them at Best Buy. What, we'll still do it?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, let's get these wires so I don't break them. All right, so that was 100 pounds. No, is that, yeah, 100
Yeah,
pounds,
100
right?
pounds.
100 pounds, and we're scaling at 3,159, which a little over 100 pounds. Our bias is still to the driver's side by, let's check that percentage. We're 52% on the driver's side. So let's add another 50. All right, now we are at total 3210. And we are still 52% bias on the driver's side.
What happens if you slide?
Which is fine.
What happens if you slide it all the way to the edge? Would it change?
It may change a little bit.
I don't know.
We'll try that out. Yeah, that dropped it a full percent.
Okay.
So we're 51% on driver's side bias. Our weights is still at 3210, which is 150 pounds more than before. Let's see what our front to rear is. %52 to the front. So, I mean, we're still real reasonable. We're not crazy far out. I'm thinking if we make it mounted like that, we could pull 25s off, put others on. But we have, because there's so much weight, we've got to figure out a way to do 2 half-inch bolts. So we'll have to look underneath here to figure out what could be mounted. Or how
There
we
should
can
be
mount
cross members.
I know there's a cross member here.
And that's going to
here.
add weight in itself.
Yeah.
So you might have to add less weight. But I think that maybe 3 stacks is probably all we'll probably ever need.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we could take one off and put a 10 on it or a 5, whatever. But you got to have.
What I think you could do is, if you had a brace going this way that we could bolt down, we can make a bracket that goes across that holds the two.
Yes.
That may give you, they may allow that.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like,
or even have 3 bolts going across, one in the center and one here.
I mean, do you think when they inspect that and they see no weights, but they see the shaft sticking up, are they going to say, "What's these for?" My thought was building in a box around it so it sits with a lid, so it sits in the box with the shaft still through it too, just like you were talking about. But building it so it's covered and looks like it's part of something. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let's put the last 25 on there, or 50. Or actually
should be just 20. Yeah. So this is all the weight I got.
Yeah, all the weight. All right, 52% still. And we are 50.9% bias, so it's still very 50-50. It is 52% front and 32-32 on the total weight. So I think that's probably a pretty good place for it. And we'll just make provision for all of it, and then figure out ways of removing.
Yeah, I don't ever see us for I mean, if we have 4 stacks, even if I got 2 more 25 plates, that gets us right at 200 pounds. Which I don't, if we're adding more than 200 pounds, and
We could change blower pulleys.
or we're out to change something else, yeah. I mean, this is mainly just for the fine tuning. So, I mean, if we're, like you said, if we find out we're that far out, then we need to adjust the engine somehow to slow it down a little bit.
You've got a 2x3 back here. And you got a 2x3 up here. We could run a 2x3 upright, cut these supports going this way for it to fit, and then weld everything back.
Back together.
And then you have a place for these bolts to
go into, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll use an angle on the edge of it so that you don't have to have a through bolt, because you don't want a through bolt that long, unless you want the box for safety.
So are you talking about, okay, so you're talking about all we'll have showing up here is two holes? That's the way to do it. That way, I can put a plug in it or something. grommet plug or something in it so you can see the hole.
Yeah. How big is both of these? Are all these the same size hole?
Yeah, they're all standard.
What is standard? 1 inch?
I don't know, whatever dumbbell sizes are.
We could still do the, I got some length to it. I think this is 3/4 all thread. I'd say that's at least 1 inch, if not more. There should be a measuring tape. Okay,
No.
well we got that whole tubes over there.
Yeah, but going from stretch from here to here.
Here, and then we'll just cut out the section.
Yeah, that would.
And then get it up there and we'll weld around. But, you know, we'll make it solid welded here, solid welded there. And then what we'll do is we'll come off with an angle, piece of an angle. I've got some real heavy angle over here. And then have the nut welded to the bottom of this.
Okay. Yeah, we'd definitely need a longer piece unless you cut that in half.
I may have some longer stuff over there, but that'll be the game plan.
So, will this angle be, because I think we'll have to mark it and probably pre-drill the holes or something, know where the holes are actually going to be for the thing. But I mean, if you put this in the center, then your angle iron will probably be in the right spot. I don't think these are holding anything.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what those are for.
Something must have been mounted there before.
Seat, maybe.
Maybe.
That chassis is pretty scary, Chris.
Yeah, look at that. But I mean, these are good back here, but I mean, that looks like that might have been professionally welded, already pieced. And it's them welding this stuff to it.
Yeah, that's probably what this is. It's probably a rail that they purchased.
Yeah.
That has long enough for a connector up front. But I guess that'll be the plan. We'll have to figure out the right length for that. You got that tape measure over here still?
Yep.
Those are 2x3. We got 2x3 over there.
Okay.
So we'll have to figure out where the holes are gonna be up here. Get a hole drilled so we know where that's gonna be.
Yeah.
Then get this figured out, you know, the right piece though, where it needs to go. Make 2 cuts to get it up in there. We'll weld on both sides of that, weld it to this, to that, have some kind of bracketry going this way so we don't have to have a bolt going all the way through.
Yeah.
And then that's what will hold your weight.
All right. Sounds like a good plan to me. I like that idea of just having the holes there.
Yeah. You could probably get 1 inch grommets that you can just shove in the hole too.
They wouldn't even know.
Or even black electrical tape.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But honestly, you could probably leave 2 25-pound weights in a bolt and they probably won't say anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to check because a lot of people use weights to do this. I can't imagine we'd be the first
The
ones.
only one we got to really worry about is Bowling Green, the one race.
I think it's work.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that was hanging down like that.
What, the transmission cable?
Yeah.
Yep.
It wasn't always like that, was it?
Yep.
No shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Because we discussed maybe getting a shorter one, and then we were like, no, we'll just use this one.
Yeah, it's cost money. All right, so we just need to get the right material.
So we need to drill the hole or get the holes first, and then we'll get the material. I mean, I could run and go see if we got those things, or do we probably don't even need them yet?
Which things?
The bolts.
Well, what I was thinking is 1 inch all thread, so that the height could be any height we needed with a bolt.
Right.
So if we got all thread and then we welded a nut at the top of it so that this is stationary, we have a welded nut underneath, so this could be whatever length that we needed to stack it. Then you have another nut with some washers that will push down on your thing. Or like I said, I think maybe a good idea would be to make a bracket with some heavy wall pieces.
Yeah, to go across the span.
And then you do 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then in the center, you would have some kind of spacer or something. I don't know what in the center, we have to work that out, but that'll give you 3 1 inch bolts holding all the weight in. And hopefully that's enough.
Yeah.
Hopefully you never have to figure it out. But
yeah, I think it'd be fine. I mean, obviously the thing is what you're saying. So if we only need one plate and we have this long ass bolt,
You could screw it all the way down, providing that it doesn't actually go lower than the frame rail.
so say maybe we
But
should get.
what the idea would be is you have a nut in here. That this bolt is always going to be long enough to do all of them.
So then
with
you're
the
just
nut.
going to tighten the one
Then you
down
tighten
with
the one down
with
where
the
you need
washer on the end of it. Okay, I got you. That makes sense. Okay, that way it doesn't have to go, because I don't want it falling down or dropping down lower than the body.
Yeah. So that's what my
Okay.
plan would be.
Okay, I got you now. That sounds good. So we just need to measure, see how long of those we need, which I'm sure it won't be all that long.
And I guess I'll look into how much or where we could find 1 inch. I don't know if you can get it locally or not. We'll just have to look. Tape measures right there.
We'll just measure that, how tall that is. So that's 4.5 inches tall.
So 6 inches would get, we'll say 6.5 would get you enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say 7.
Yeah.
So let me look at Master Car, see how much we can get it there. And then you may have to just run to figure out how much you can find it somewhere else. All right, high strength, threaded rod, fine thread, is $88 for a 2-foot stick.
That'd be enough?
Yeah, because we only need 7 times 3.
Is that local or is that?
It's McMaster Car. It could be here like Monday.
We're.
You can run to wherever else and see if they have some, but just know that we can get it through them if we need to.
I mean, you think Tractor Supply would have it?
They might. Let me measure that hole out with the actual the small one.
I moved them all. Just trying to do placement now. So we need at least 1 inch in between the two, right? You're gonna put that other.
Yeah, at least 1 inch. I'd say make it like 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches.
Yeah. Okay.
So the hole is 1 inch, 140. So you could technically use 1.125. I don't know if they sell all thread. They're definitely not going to sell that local, but McMaster Car might have it. You may not want that smoke, Chris.
What's that?
1.125. The smallest you can get is in 3 foot, and it's $161.
Woo, boy.
So inch is probably going to be your best bet.
Okay. All right. Got the hole placement. We can drill it real quick if you want.
Yeah, we can go ahead. We use just a little pilot holes for now.
Damn it, this thing wasn't broke.
I know. You're the one that manhandled it. I'd imagine that Ace or Tractor or Orchland or somebody might have 1 inch.
Might need a punch. Yeah.
All right, I'll give you a punch.
So we have our hole for each weight is drawn out, and it's about 1 inch. And so we're just going to do a little quick pilot hole. We're not really worried about being center right now. I drew a line here so we can at least know where the third bolt is going to be. So we're just going to get a punch and just hit it, and we'll just draw a couple pilot holes and we'll go from there.
Did you need a punch?
Still didn't do it. There we go. There's one. Damn it.
Punch a little harder.
I'm gonna have to.
You know, I thought the dryer was shrinking my clothes.
Yeah.
Turns out the refrigerator is doing it the whole time.
I thought you were being.
That was my dad joke.
I thought you were being serious. I was like, oh goodness.
I thought it was good.
All right. Do we need the third hole right now? The middle hole?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to measure it and get it drilled, we know where it's at least.
Yeah. Well, I should have marked it. Should be about right there. Then. That should be, at least give us an idea where we need to be, and then we'll draw the actual holes when we get to that time.
Kind of sucks because it looks like we're either going to put the bar out here or closer to the frame rail. If we put it close to the frame rail, we're going to have to cut through this too.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that difficult though. Do you want to run and see if we can find all thread? And I'll get.
I can.
Some,
I don't mind. I can go look at it.
I'll get some tubing cut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to find some of this, or you have some of this?
We'll see what kind of heavy stuff we got over here. You know, do we need that much extra weight? Because that alone's probably going to add 15 pounds, that whole assembly.
That's fine. I don't know. Okay, so where should I go? You said
I would try Ace first. If that doesn't work, you got Worshlands.
Yeah. Is that Tractor Supply?
Yeah, that or yeah, is it the one in Jeff? Is that Tractor Supply? Or is that Rural King?
That's Rural King.
Rural King might have it.
Do they have hardware?
They got plate steel and stuff too.
Hey, so, you know, we're making all these pieces here. What did the one wall say to the other wall?
No idea.
I'll meet you in the corner.
That was a good one. That was a good one. All right. So this is what we come up with in order to mount the weight. We have 2 holes that'll have 1-inch threaded rod that'll have welded nuts on the bottom. That's going to go through the floor. Weights are going to be stacked, screwed down, and there's going to be a third one bolt coming up through a cross member. We're going to go on top of the weight. So it'll all be held down by 3 1-inch high tensile strength all thread. So that's how we're going to mount it. This gets mounted to the cross members. That's mounted to the frame.
And that was a big thing too, is that the NHRA book does say that it has to be mounted to the frame, and this will be welded
Part of the frame.
part of the frame. So we're good there.
Yep.
So I think safety-wise, everything's going to work out perfectly with the 1-inch rod, the welded nuts and everything, that if something happened and those things got jarred, they ain't going to come off there.
I agree.
They're on their side.
So we're going to clean this up, get it shoved in there, and get this welded to the frame. And then we'll have to drill holes through the floor to receive all this stuff. And then we're going to be waiting on the threaded rod till probably Tuesday this week.
No one around here has 1-inch threaded rod around here.
I don't think you'd want it anyway. More than likely it would be the softer, like grade 5.
So we had to special order some, so it's going to be the high strength stuff. So safety first, kids. Or
third.
second, or third.
Fun first. All right, so we're going to get that done.
All right.
All right, that video turned out to be a pretty long-winded, but I wanted to give you the finished product and then to tell you that next week video, we're gonna kind of do the same thing, but on the truck. So make sure you tune in for that. But let's go take a look at the finished product of Chris's little weight contraption here. And you guys can tell us in the comments what you think about it. All right, here you go. This is how he's gonna have his weight set up. That is 170 pounds, held in by 3 1-inch by 14 pitch thread, all thread bolts with a welded nut on top. There's also a nut right here, and there's welded nuts underneath to that big brace. I don't know if you can see, that's probably too dark. That little big brace down there, little big. At any rate, I don't think it's going anywhere. I feel like the inspectors will be okay with it. It's good and sturdy. So that's gonna be the solution. And I think all the material, I added an extra 20 pounds on top of that. So we're probably closer to 190. All right, again, next week's video is us gonna be doing similar to the same thing to the truck. So make sure you're subscribed so that you can get notified when that video comes out if you're interested in seeing what the truck weighs and what kind of weight system we came up for it. So we really appreciate you watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the video, share it with somebody so maybe we can get our subscriber count up, because that's how we're gonna grow the video. That's how we're gonna grow the channel, I should say. All right, guys, till next time, we'll see you. Just in case.
Okay, hang on a minute. I'm texting this guy.
All right. We doing business or we doing videos?
Hang on, this dude's asking me questions.
Who's asking about the rockers?
Yeah, he's already sending the money, but I want to make sure he saw these little scratches on here.
They're $100 rockers, Chris.
Okay, all right.
And they go underneath the valve cover.
Okay, if you don't think he's going to mind,
I mean,
he's sending the money. So.
Okay. Well, you could send him the picture. I don't know.
Well, I'll put a picture on there. So
I don't know that it really matters. They're $100. Actually, those are probably $400 rockers at best.
But you don't like Pro Comp.
I hate Pro Comp.
And you know what's in my car?
What?
Pro Comp.
What?
My rockers in there.
No.
Yeah, they are.
No, we bought
Pro Comps.
No, you bought Comp cams.
Oh, they're different?
Yeah.
I thought Comp Cam and Pro Comp were the same.
No, Pro Comp is the Chinese knockoff of everything. comp cams is, I don't like their lifters, and we can talk about that bullshit. I don't like their lifters because I've had 2 of them fail on me and they didn't want to do anything for me. Their rocker arms seem to be pretty sturdy and nice. The cams are, if you're looking for a budget-friendly, generic style cam, it's good. But if you're trying to actually go full-on race, I know they have a division that you can call up and get custom grinds and stuff, but I would much prefer going with Crowder.
Oh yeah, I mean,
or a company that's pretty much their bread and butter is racing.
Yeah, and I would love to have gone with Crowder, but
you got a Crowder cam.
Yeah, I would love to go with the rockers too, but for the price and the money I was already spending and stuff, I mean, those are still almost $500.
Yeah, those are good rockers.
Yeah.
And what I want you to do is upgrade eventually to the shaft rocker system.
Yes.
The Jezel or even T&D. Both of them are good systems. I'd rather you do the Jezel, just not that any of our stuff could exchange because they're made specific to the head in order to get the shaft alignment correct. But nonetheless, if you're hearing this, fuck you, comp cams.
Comp cams or pro comp?
Comp cams. They're the ones that broke my shit. They sold me, for one, they sold me the wrong shit and told me the right stuff. That broke one of them, and they said, well, it's up to the installer to do whatever. I told you exactly what I had. You sent me the wrong shit. The second one was just a complete failure. The whole lifter blew apart. Nonetheless.
So pro comp bad, comp cam's bad.
Comp cam's partially bad.
Customer service is bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they're a huge company. They don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. They may even be bought by Holley at this point.
Yeah. Probably our Holley's buying everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can't piss Holley off because they own everything.
Yes. Holley, we love you. We want a sponsorship. All right.